We are down to 8 in Euro 2016. Jersey Joe Archino back here with the Sports Vault. And, of course, the matchups could not be more savoring. But this is not about the matchups. This is about one of the squads that will not be featured in the matchups. And I think, of course, everyone knows at this point that that is mighty England, who fell to Iceland 2-1. And it's funny, I was coming back on the train from work, and I didn't have access to all the games the whole time, so I pulled out my phone and I looked at it, and I saw that England was losing to Iceland, and I almost couldn't believe my eyes. And I was able to get back home in time to really catch the second half. And as every minute just kept going down more and more and more, and you just became so realized that this was going to happen. Iceland was going to beat England. I just couldn't come up with words to describe it at first. And was it a major shocker? It has to be when you are the ones who made the game a world power time and time again, and you lose to Iceland. There's no one who has words to describe the shock that comes with. But the one thing that England had shown, and the reason they lost that game, is leadership. They did not have it. I look at the group stage in England and Wales. Wales came out of that group, and England battled and beat them, but they drawed against Russia. And then I think, of course, the rest of their story speaks for themselves in the group stage. But Wales, on paper, doesn't have the same talent as in England. A lot of these sides in Euro 2016, on paper, probably don't have the level of talent and depth that a side like England can have. I mean, you just look at Roy Hodgson, who is no longer the manager of the England national team. The options he had off the bench, guys like Jamie Vardy. I mean, he just had player after player, bringing off a young guy like a Marcus Rashford. A lot of these other squads don't have those kinds of options, but England does. The reason they couldn't put any of it together is the lack of leadership. Now, Arlo White, I think, is one of the best soccer commentators in the world. I think his opinions, his commentary is always spot on. It's phenomenal. He does such a good job for NBC Sports. And, of course, he is from England. And I thought his words really said it all. And the end of his Instagram post, and go check him out on Instagram, put some good stuff up. At the end of it, he said, really, sadly, it's another indictment on the standards of leadership and lack of accountability in my country. And I don't want to get into politics and get into that realm, because obviously England is dealing with something whole different on that front. But he is tremendously right that the lack of leadership is the reason for England's downfall. You don't lose to an Iceland as a traditional power like in England unless you really have severe leadership problems, such an invisible presence on England. And of course, I think we all look to the Wayne Rooneys of the world, and really England is a side where they are very young and they do have that veteran presence in a Wayne Rooney. And I don't think it's fair to put all the blame on him, but you have to put more accountability on him than anyone else, because he is that veteran guy on this team. And I really think that if you look at England and you compare them with a side like Wales, Wales exceeds what their potential is. Gareth Bale is one of the top 10 players in the world, no question about it. But Gareth Bale gets his teammates to exceed their potential because he's such a good leader. You never saw him hanging his head in defeat. I mean, Wales did a very good job in the group stage. They had that tough loss to England. Gareth Bale was always vocal, always positive, always pushing his teammates in the right direction. And, I think it speaks volumes when you have a leader like that, the things that it can compensate for, and the things that when you don't have that leader, what it can detract from. And I think with England, it's the perfect example. And it really is one of those things where you still struggle to come up with words to describe it and to even put it into comparisons. I mean, I think the only thing for the United States we could compare to is if the U.S. men's team in basketball lost to somebody the level of an Iceland. But I mean, even with us, we've had our down years, but something like that, when you have all this talent, to lose to an Iceland who's never even been in this tournament before, that really is the ultimate indictment on the lack of leadership. And you could chalk it up to a lot of things, play on the field, not doing this player not showing up, but it all kind of culminates in everything. There are many reasons why England didn't beat Iceland and why they won't be playing France in the final 8. But I think more than anything, all the problems all go under one umbrella. And that one umbrella that really ties it all together is the lack of leadership. It's just the way it is. When you look at the final teams who are standing right now, you look at these final 8, I see leaders in strong positions. Italy, Gianluigi Buffon, undoubtedly, when Italy handed it to Belgium in their first matchup of Euro 2016, a lot of people very down on Italy this year. But you saw a unified group behind veteran presence like a Gianluigi Buffon, like a Chiellini, like a Bonucci. There's a lot of youth on Italy's side, and they went behind their leaders and they followed their directions. And I just think that has been very lacking for some of these other sides, England especially, and that's the reason they find themselves in the position they're in. Some of them have compensated for it. I think Belgium at first was not a unified side, didn't have that single identifiable leader, but they really have unified themselves better together, and I think coming off of their loss to Italy, that's what happened there. But England is the story here. There are 8 left. They are all incredible matches. Germany, Italy, Wales, Belgium, Portugal, Poland, France, and Iceland. And England missed the boat, and I think that would have just kind of been the ultimate cream of the crop if we did get a France-England matchup, but we didn't. And England needs to look themselves hard in the mirror. I think sometimes you don't need a lot of words to describe a picture. And yesterday I did my segments on Messi and Argentina's failure in Copa America, and I think at the end of the match, I was struggling to come up with words to put it all into perspective, but sometimes you don't need words. Sometimes the picture just says it all, and the pictures of Messi hanging his head in defeat, that said it all. And I think there are so many pictures of that match last night. The celebration on Iceland says it all. And I think more than anything, the faces of defeat and doom and dismay on Joe Hart and others' faces, hanging their heads just on the field distraught, that says it all. And sometimes that one image says a lot more than any words I could come on here and say are. And I think all you need to do is look at the pictures of England, and that says it all. And again, it all ties back to that lack of leadership. And there are a lot of answers. There are a lot of questions that need answers. There's a lot of answers that they will be searching for. But I think more than anything, until they can find that leader, and is it fair to put all the blame on their former manager now, Hodgkinson? I don't think it is. I mean, he is certainly a big part of it, but at the end of the day, especially in a game like soccer where the egos are so big and the money has gotten so big, it really does come down to the players that you have. Can they be unified? Can they rally against someone? Can you get them to be united for a cause? Because we've seen that ability be able to do incredible things. You're going to always be going back to the Leicester City example, but it's a very good one to have. You don't defy the odds of 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League title unless you are unified, unless you have leaders. And I think that's going to be the example given and used for a long time to come when it comes to soccer. And Leicester City was able to do that, but England, of course, not able to do that. And again, all you need to do is look at the picture. It says it all. Until the next time, though, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll see everybody next time.